you guys been able to access the recordings moving from the last two that we've done?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Recordings?
Have you guys been able to access the recordings that get sent to you?
I did not try it.
You haven't tried?
But I saw the file, but I did not try it.
Way to go. At least you're honest. That's good.
I mean, we got to be honest, right, Alex?
I love that you're being honest. That's phenomenal. Well, so I am here to help you guys with anything that you all are working on, whether it is the resume or if you all feel comfortable with it, we can go through what I'm going to be looking for on your pipeline, since you guys haven't done a pipeline review with me before. So do you all have anything, open items that you would like to review prior to us doing that? Or is that something that you all would be open to going over and learning?
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
I would like to learn.
All right. So
I need to learn.
I'm a teach. So I am going to grab the file and I'm basically going to share my screen and show you exactly what you all are going to do so that it makes it really, really easy. And then I can also repurpose this, and whoever wants to watch it can use this as a recording. So there we go. We'll kill 3 birds with 1 stone. So Steve is on. My man, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Steve.
So Steve, we've got Steve, Lewis, Angela. There's a couple others that are either going to join us later or who aren't coming on. I just let the group know that we're going to go over my expectations for pipeline review, because none of you have done pipeline review with me yet. So it's super important to at least get an idea for what I'm kind of looking for. It does not have to be perfect yet. It's just so that we can start getting really good at breaking it down, forecasting, and understanding what's in the pipeline, what we need in the pipeline, and how to adjust, which is going to help your sales infinitely. This is sort of how I map my entire week. Every week is based on what I saw in pipeline on Thursday or Friday, and then we can map the next week and pivot on what we're going to do from a top of funnel perspective, on an account management perspective. If we have to pivot on something, if a campaign's not working, this is a lot of the intel that I work with. So that being said, and then Steve, I will send you some additional information, because I know that you have been in the middle of a super fun migration. So haven't been able to do too much with this program yet. So I'll get you caught up. Okay.
Okay. Appreciate that.
All right. I promise. All right. Let me jump here and let me know when you guys can see my screen. While I'm doing this, who has done anything so far with that, the organization resume yet?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah, I reached out to some competitors. And first off, I identified several competitors. I called 2 of them. There's a third one that I'm going to call. The first 2 I called, I didn't get hold of the right people, and I was promised calls back, and I didn't get those. And then I also there's a 4th who's not really a competitor. He's like a matchmaker, an IT matchmaker. And so we actually met for coffee. And so that was good. So I'm getting out there, and I actually did a blind walk after I met with that IT matchmaker. There was an accounting firm upstairs that targets like contractors and basically like my ideal clients.
Okay.
And I dropped in on them to introduce myself, and it didn't go the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, you kind of went ahead of the curve, man. Like I didn't quite tell you to reach out to anybody yet. It was just to identify some people, but
well, this is what I do.
I know. You just take it and run, man. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through the pipeline tracker so you guys see what I would like you to do. And this is going to be hard for you, Lewis, because you're literally just going to do the thing that I want you to do on this and make sure that you stay in your lane and stay focused on this task at hand. Don't get any wild ideas. It has to be exactly like this, because it's really important on how you track every week. So
Okay.
essentially, and I'm just giving you a little bit of grief because I think it's fun that you reached out to some people. But right here, you see the TechSellerate pipeline tracker. I'm just going to have you guys go and make a copy. So when you make a copy, you're going to save it to whatever you want. You can save it as a Google Doc. You can save it as a an Excel doc. Doesn't matter whatever you're in. If you're in SharePoint, Google, we're more creative on the marketing and sales side. So we love our Google Drive, which drives all of our MSP friends crazy. But you'll survive. You love us. So we went ahead and we checked and we made sure that it converts perfectly into Excel. So if you want it in Excel, you can. So you'll make a copy of it, save it to your own. And then essentially what I want you to do is I want you to set your targets and your revenue sources based on the information that we put on the sheet, the resume sheet from Monday, which again, Steve, I'll get you updated on that. What you're going to be doing is you are going to be putting in your revenue sources, which, for example, if you are an MSP and you are dealing with CMMC, you're going to put in, we do CMMC services, right? Or you are going to have tier 1, tier 2, or you may break it down really, really granularly and say, this is my MRR, this is my product, and this is my hardware, this is my my project services, and that is all what makes up of our new sales target. So for example, say we have revenue source A. So again, Angela, from a consulting standpoint, maybe it's speaking gigs, consultations, so that's why I keep it vague on revenue source, because you're going to know. Steve, it may be that you want to do MRR to cloud services, to hardware, or whatever you want to track that make up your existing target. Or you might want to say, okay, let's see how much I'm selling into specific verticals, right? Based on the conversations that we've had in the past. So for example, we're going to say, I actually am going to make a copy because this is just going to be my test one, and I don't want to screw up the one that everybody has access to, because knowing me, I would do that. So I'll just say test. And you guys can still see it? It's loading?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So for example, I'm just going to pretend like I'm an MSP, or even if I'm an IT vendor, you may want to have from a software standpoint, potentially you have subscription, or you've got done for you service, or you've got annual recurring licenses, or you've got month to month. So you have different revenue sources across the board. It's not up to me to decide how you want to track it and what you want to measure. But for a sales rep or a CEO that is trying to see what's coming in the pipeline, it's good to try to put goals based on those separate targets, so that you can track the revenue and how it's coming in. So for revenue source A, I'm just going to say, let me say MRR. And revenue source B, I'm going to say hardware. And revenue source C, I'm going to say software, right? And a lot of MSPs and a lot of providers don't make a ton on your software. And then revenue source D, we've got managed services, right? So from here, you've got what that could be, and you've got amounts. So if you've got the amount right here, we want to say we want to pull 10,000 each per month. I'm just throwing this out there. It might be totally different. You guys just put whatever you want in order to set the first goal. But let's just say that brings me up to 4,000 on monthly, right? On a monthly recurring or on a retainer. If you want to look at this from an ARR perspective, that's fine. I typically look at this quarter by quarter on what's coming in per month. Now, hardware is going to be a little bit different, right? So maybe you put that that's going to be 50,000. because that's just gonna be a one time, right? And then you've got an end of life, so that brings it up to 54,000, but this really could be, this could be anything you want it to be, and that's what I'm trying to show you. But the new sales target, we want to bring it up, right? So we're not here to just do what we've been doing. We're not here to do status quo, and we're not here to just sort of, take it as it comes with referrals. What we're trying to do is we're trying to set a new sales target. Typical new sales target is going to be just a 10% increase until you have some historical data and you can actually see what's happening. Is that clear? Does that kind of make sense?
10% per year or 10% per?
This is quarterly. So I want to see a 10% increase quarterly, but I don't necessarily know if that's even attainable, if that's too easy. I'm not even setting a real goal. This is literally just me throwing spaghetti on the wall so that we have something to go for. Make sense?
Yeah, that's
But
good.
the existing sales target is our actual, number based on existing revenue sources. We supposedly know what those are.
Well, not necessarily. So all I'm doing right here is pipeline. Your existing revenue sources, I don't care. That's already booked, right? What I'm talking about is pipeline. So this is going to have, this is what you have baked in for the next coming quarter. And this is how we're going to track it. We're going to track it quarter by quarter by quarter. If you are not as sophisticated, and when I say sophisticated, I'm not saying you guys are not sophisticated. I'm sure you all look great in suits and ties. But what I'm saying from a sophistication standpoint is if you are not as sophisticated in your forecasting abilities yet, you may not know when things are closing. So it's okay to put everything in here and you're going to close it in January. You're going to close it in March. We'll get tighter as the process goes. Make sense so far? Okay.
So as your sort of poster child of unsophistication,
you look great in a tie though, Lewis.
Well, I wouldn't be caught dead in one, but but so essentially, because I have no idea what my numbers are, for this, but it sounds like I should come up with numbers. I don't want to use the word make up numbers, but just kind of base it in somebody's idea of reality.
Yes. So basically so I call that a swag. It's a scientific, wild, educated guess, right? So it's swag right there. So we are gonna have to make some assumptions in order to have some sort of a baseline. And it's important to understand where your revenue sources are coming from. So it may not be accurate. This is not the goal setting workshop. We will do a separate goal setting workshop to come up with better goals. This is just so that you understand what the pipeline is so that we can start tracking from a forecasting perspective. So all what I want to see on this, and I don't care what CRM you guys have right now, that's a lie. I care, but I want to at least see the data because it doesn't matter on the CRM piece on this, because this is going to be where you learn how to gut check really well and how to adjust. So for example, Steve, perfect example. Steven, I'm putting you on the spot. I hope you don't mind.
Oh boy.
Okay. So he's like, this is just what I wanted all day. So on his specific instance, he has a ton of clients, but they might be a little too small as they come in so that he won't be able to close enough to hit the goal he wants. So that's going to help us adjust the activity that we're doing so that we can jump into the goal that we want. So if he's going after all these rabbits, but he needs to go after deer, I'm using a hunting reference because I was, raised in the Midwest, so I apologize already. But if he's got a bunch of rabbits and he needs to get a couple of deer and even have some bear out there to bag those, it'll help him forecast and understand what's coming in this quarter so that he can make certain wise strategic investments. So what we want to do is we want to go in, and anybody we've been talking to, and it may just be 3 people in your pipeline right now. It doesn't matter. I just want you guys to start. So from an organization name, It does not matter to me if you want to give me the names or if you want to share them on this. I understand that you all don't know each other. I can guarantee you that none of you are competitors at all, and you're not going for the same people at all. But if you don't want to share, that's fine. So you can either put Corporation A, or you can put the actual name, right? For me, I would just put in, technology company 1, right? Or if I have an automation software, or we're going to be working with a company called Critus. So I'll say this so that you can get into the contact information and the role. The contact information, the first person that I'm speaking to, this is the champion that you're on the phone with, and this should be in your CRM as well. But if it's not, again, I'm meeting you guys where you are. This is just what I need to have. And this is in addition to what's in your CRM. So you can get this information for the CRM, but you're going to see in about 2 minutes why this is different. Steve, I know you've got a CRM. Lewis, you've got kind of one working like on Excel at this point, right?
No, I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm using a CRM.
Okay. I thought you were with maybe ConnectWise or something. And then Angela, what are you guys using right now?
We're using HubSpot.
HubSpot. Okay, perfect. So again, I'll meet you guys right where you are. This is going to be how you work it. So my contact over at Critus is Michael. His role is founder and tech, right? So he built it. He's a founder. He doesn't know how to sell. So he's great for me. So the products and services that I'm going to sell him, and the reason why I'm using CyberSells as an example is so that you all see how I do this, but it can work on software. It can work on managed services. It can work on anything. You just need to be very clear on what you're selling. So I'm going to say this is going to revenue source A, even though I don't have to actually type all of that out because it's just going to be the name of it, right? So as long as you know what that name is, whether it's MRR, hardware, whatever, you can put that there. The amount, this one, I'm going to know is for MRR from a monthly recurring. We are going to get, I'll say 2,500 a month. And the deal stage, I'm literally making these up, by the way. I know the guy, I know the company. I'm not telling you how much I'm making off of it. So we've got the qualified to buy. So these are the stages where I want you guys to get really good at your gut. And this is why it doesn't necessarily have to be what's in your HubSpot or what's in your customized CRM or your Excel sheet or anything. This is where you get really, really good at this. And on the pipeline reviews, when we go over it, I'm going to challenge you on these things, and there's a reason for it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to define what these are right now. And Angela, does this look familiar to you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we used HubSpot as our true north, because it's just an easy one that it's sort of, it works for beginners, it works for advanced, and it's kind of that middle of the road solution that does it all. So one of our favorites is HubSpot. So that's why I just sort of keep it to this, because it's easily transferable. And even if you use this in another CRM, it makes sense. So if you look at it, we're going to define the terms of discovery call scheduled. And Steve, this probably looks pretty familiar to you from your former life, right?
Sure.
Okay. So you've got a discovery call scheduled. It's going to give you 10%. Now I'm already past the discovery call scheduled, because to me, if it's in discovery, it shouldn't be here because I'm not even tracking that yet. If I'm on a discovery call and it's just scheduled, I probably haven't even had a conversation with somebody yet. It's probably one of my team or my SDR that is pulling in a potential opportunity, but I wouldn't call it that. They would open it and put discovery call scheduled. They would put it on my calendar. I would show up, much like I did with every single one of you, and we would have the next call. Then what I would do, and I'm totally using you guys as an example because I did this with every single one of you, I would then say, okay, we've gotten to a point where they're qualified to buy. They need something, right? I've established what we call BANT, which is we've got budget, we've got need, we've got the authority. You guys are the ones that can make a decision. And then we've got a timeline. So BANT, budget authority need timeline. That is not the end all be all. And I will have another training on why BANT is not exactly the perfect blend for consultative sales, but it's a good starter. So we're already at qualified to buy, and then that goes to 20%. On this one, technically, we have a technical win, which is 40%, and I'm working on a proposal. So you'll notice that even though I put the amount is 2,500, at 40%, my weighted pipeline means it's only worth $1,000 to me. So nobody screw with my formulas. We like my formulas because it's automatically going to do this for you. So this will make things really easy when you're looking at what could potentially close over the quarter and what you can bring through. I also know that this guy wants to close pretty quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 10/01/23. And then my next steps are get proposal to Michael. But then what I also want to do is I want to make sure that I understand what the true next steps are. A lot of people would say that this is the proper next step and this would be what's in HubSpot, or this is in wherever it would be for you to keep track. To me, that's not enough. What we want to do is we want to understand what the actual next steps are. So if I'm going to get the proposal to Michael, I want the follow-up step. So what is that? So the next step from there is Michael will then meet with founders, because he has 2 co-founders, on Wednesday of next week. This is just sort of the process of me going forward and saying, okay, but then what happens, right? And then what happens? So if Lewis, you had, I'm putting you on the spot now because I already put Steven on the spot. If you had a meeting with somebody and they said, man, I really need the help. I'm a founder and I just need a proposal sent over because I want to start as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Would you think, without looking at this, would you think that you have that in the bag?
No,
Okay. What would you think?
I would think get that proposal to them ASAP so that I get it in the bag.
Right. So that you get it in the bag. But how would you get it in the bag?
Let's see here. So I would assume that we've already had like the consulting call, and then I know their pain points and I know what packages to offer them to put in the proposal.
Sure.
And I would, not just get the proposal to them, but wrap it in a meeting where we can go through the proposal and address questions and show them, we're hands-on and that we're actually listening to them and get it in the bag.
Got it. So you're right, but I would caution to just get the proposal over. I would ask a question. And again, if this is like the only thing you guys take from this is learn how to fill this out and then learn how to ask this question, then I did my job today. So that question is, what is your purchasing process? How do you make these decisions? Because a lot of founders will just say, or a lot of CEOs, and I'm sure you've had this issue as well, or even Angela, when Pam is going to actually speak and you're selling speaking gigs and somebody reaches out and says, okay, great, we just need to know the cost. If you're having the conversation with that person that you assume is the person that can sign off on this, my next question is, how does that work? Steven knows I asked that question because I say, okay, so how does your purchasing process work? And then he's like, I got to talk to the accountant, right? Or I'll have that meeting on Wednesday. And so it's more of a timeline perspective and it's an understanding. So I know that they're gonna meet on Wednesday, but then after that meeting, he's then going to have to go another step further and take it to his the people that are funding the company because they are financed or not financed, they're well funded, which is great for me because that means the budget's there, but it also means that I have to go through a couple of levels, which means that even if he said it was a done deal or he can make that call, I couldn't potentially put proposal with decision maker. I couldn't put it anywhere other than it's at a technical win. So it's mine to win or lose, and it's not even at a 50% yet. Does that resonate with you guys on the call of asking the next question and understanding the entire buying cycle?
Yes.
So the deal stages, the way they're listed, they don't necessarily go in that order.
They do, except for this one. I'm going to get that fixed. I'm not sure what that was. Angela, you had a question.
So the proposal, the client, it says yes, the proposal was sent. And now
Mhm.
you're saying you haven't heard anything back yet. What is the next step? Is that correct?
So yeah, so proposal with decision maker, you're
Okay,
at 50%, right?
okay, okay.
Because you need to understand what the next steps are. If you don't know what the next steps are and you don't know their buying process, I honestly would say that you shouldn't have sent the proposal yet and you're just at a technical win. So they may have paper in hand, but I would not call that proposal with a decision maker because you don't know who the decision makers actually are. Make sense? I know it's getting nitpicky, but it's important so that you understand, so that when we're weighting this and we're actually trying to forecast so that you can make those buying decisions and you can make the decisions for your business, you need to understand that if you don't have the full scope of who you're dealing with, this puts you back. In fact, if you don't have that full process and you gave them a proposal too soon, you might have actually set yourself back and they might just be qualified to buy at this point. And then it's only worth $500. So you better go find something else to work that forecast. You see what I mean? Okay, so let's just say I did the job and I actually have all of the answers because on this one I did. So we're gonna say that we are at a technical win and I still owe him that proposal and a meeting. And it is in the CRM. Now, right here, I'm gonna change what this is because it's not CW, it's just in quoting. And I personally use PandaDocs. I have other MSPs that use QuoteWorks. That's why CW is there. I've got other people that use other systems. Steve, you use ConnectWise or you use your own at this point?
No, we use our own.
Use your own, of course you do. He built everything. He's like, he can code anything. So he has his own quoting. Lewis, what do you use for quoting?
I mean, I have Autotask and, but it's a work in progress, we'll say.
Okay. And then Angela, what about you?
Pam is on the trial PandaDocs. I think as
Ooh.
a nod to you, I think you might have suggested that for her.
It's a cool tool for sure. Unless you're Steve who can just code it all because
Yeah.
his probably looks pretty good and he's a marketer at heart, even though he doesn't want to be. So what I would say is it in quoting for me? No, I haven't put it. Well, technically, yes. The guy that opened the deal technically put it in, but I have to go back in there. But it is in quoting. It has not been sent out yet. But the notes are okay. His needs, the pain, what we need to do to close the deal, right? This is more the gut check, right? This is the conversation. Or if there's an issue, and this is what we will work through on our pipeline meetings. If you're having a challenge closing or if somebody has ghosted you, this is where we put these in the notes of, okay, we've decided that this is the path we're going to take, right? So we have this amazing potential client opportunity and you've sent it out. Maybe the proposal went out too soon. So we're going to push this back to a 30 instead of a 40. Oh, not a 20, a 30. Good grief. Now I'm hurting myself. We'll say it's a 20. So it's a 20. So it went down. It's $500, which is bad. We want to pull it back up to the 1,000 and then potentially to the 2,500. So my notes are, we found what he's doing and what initiatives are taking precedence, right? Because there might be an initiative that he's focused on. There may be an internal project that he's working on. There may be a host of reasons why he's not returning your call that may not be sticker shock. And then also I will give you some tools to avoid sticker shock as well. So if people do start balking at price, there's ways to get around not discounting. So we can talk about that as well. But this is our remedies, right? This is the remedy. Is this all making sense of what I want to see and how I want to see it every week? Okay, so if it is under the amount of money or dollars, for now, I want you to put everything you've got in pipeline, because I don't think there's that many deals coming in your pipeline and all of your pipelines. I'd like to start seeing it. Once we get into a groove and we start seeing the amounts going up and the attraction going higher, at some point I'm going to say, hey, this little guy for $500, get rid of him. You're either going to close him or you're not. And I don't need to see that on pipeline, because that's not going to be important enough to drive business forward. Unless there's a program or something that you're just doing top of funnel and you know that that's quantity over quality. So at some point you'll start having those conversations, and those conversations get really exciting because you start seeing, okay, this one's worth 30,000. This one's worth 20,000 for the quarter, right? I'm looking at MRR on this one, but it could be that we're looking at the ARR value and maybe it's 42,000, right? That's going to be a lot more quantifiable and it's going to make a bigger difference. So the weighted pipeline at 20% is only $8,000, but that's still more than, say, MRR at 1,000. So depending on how you want to look at it from a cash flow perspective, and only you can answer that, I typically look at it at an ARR just for my business. So that, because I typically will finance everything anyway, so then I can calculate on the back end what that looks like on a cash flow, on a sort of a daily win perspective on cash flow coming in. But depending on how your business works, this is where we are. Questions, comments, concerns?
A question on that.
Yep.
If you're doing if you're doing an annual, should we calculate target sales annually, or do we have to calculate it divided by 4?
That is a really good question. So you don't have to calculate it based on the division by 4, because you're still, your target isn't going to move. Oh, wait, you're saying the target, or you're saying the
target the correlation between the target and what we're qualifying the deal for.
Sure. Yep. So that's what we have to decide ahead of time, right? So quarterly is the target, but you base it off of an annual target. That's why I was saying, if you can put your quarterly target here. So my new sales target is, I'm just throwing this out. This is not my actual numbers, but based on revenue source A, B, C, and D, this was my existing sales target. I wanted to go up $10,000, or you go up 10%, whatever is comfortable for you, before we set annual targets, because this is literally just us figuring out how to fill out this sheet. It's not about setting the actual annual targets, because that's going to be something different. But this would be quarterly. Now, the amount for me would be, I want the annual value of the deal. I still need to hit this every single time, this being the overall sales for the quarter. So if this is worth 42,000, great. But if you look, you see the amount needed for the target. Technically, I only need 22,000. However, my total needed for pipeline is 5x of my pipeline. And that's just a rule of thumb. That's sort of industry average. Depending on what services you sell, you might be at 10x, and we can adjust. So I know that a potential fall is 20% of my pipeline if I'm not doing this the right way, plus with weighted pipeline. So that means, and I'll try to be as clear about this as I can, what you want to do is you want to take that 64,000 that you've set, and you want to times that by 5. Once you times that by 5, the formula shows that you're probably going to lose 20% of it, because just even if you have it all at 80% to close, something's going to go wrong. Inevitably, something's going to move to the following quarter or the next year. there's an emergency, 9/11 just happened. Do you realize how many sales got put on pause, all those years ago? Things happen. So you just have to understand that because of that, things are just going to happen. And we have to put in some margin for error there, which is why it's so important that we have a 5X pipeline so that we can start hitting our goals.
Okay.
Did that answer your question in a roundabout way?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay. All right. So from here, what you're going to do, and I will get in there and fix that on ours, because that's why. If you look at the 50%, it's above the 40. I'll get Nick to go in there. Everybody blame Nick next time he shows up. He does some trainings for us too. So what we can do is get some practice in. It does not have to be perfect. Just please don't screw up the formulas. If you need to adjust, if you need to turn it into a 10X, we can establish that at a later date. But this is just your first week. So I'd like you to take the time to try to put in anything that's in pipeline, anybody you've had a conversation with, anybody that you have open deals with, even if it's top of funnel at the moment where you're just starting to get it and you could put a value on it. I want to see it so that you're prepared for the Thursday conversation. Is that going to be a problem for anybody to do it?
And Thursday tomorrow.
Thursday tomorrow, but if you can't do it Thursday tomorrow because you literally are here the day before Thursday and you didn't know you had to do it because you're rushing, I will give you a pass this week, okay?
Okay, I mean,
but next week.
Yeah, you can send it to me, or whatever stuff I'm missing. That's fine. I'm checking my. You know what's funny?
You joined today.
Yeah, you know what's funny is my internet. Right as I join, my internet goes out. So I'm literally calling you. I'm joining from my cell phone. I never have internet issues too. So I'm like, what the heck? So, anyways, I'll figure that out. But yeah, I'll if you send me the spreadsheet or whatever homework I need to do,
Yep.
I can get that done. Yeah, I should be able to get that done by tomorrow.
Awesome. That'll work. All right. I'll make sure that it is shared with you. So we have about 20 minutes left for office hours. So who has questions? Who needs help? Lewis.
You know, I need help.
I know you need help. Everybody needs help. I need help daily.
So this is actually related to the spreadsheet that I made a copy and downloaded it, and all the formulas got whacked.
No, I just said that they wouldn't get whacked. Did they get whacked?
They did.
Oh no, what happened?
Now I get a bunch of, ugly Excel, question marks and, name.
Oh, it did the value thing, didn't it?
Yeah. So
okay. I will, you know what I can do? Because again, I can blame Nick. This is the best part. So all of you, before you get a chance to meet Nick, I just want you all just programmed, blame Nick. If it has to do with an error, blame Nick. So I'm going to actually message him really quick and have him build this in in Outlook really quick. Outlook. Microsoft. There you go. O365.
Excel.
Yes, Excel. The thing with the word. Yes, got it.
Yeah, but
I'm on it.
Or have him build us a Teams site.
Your what?
Have him build us a Teams site.
A Teams site.
Yeah, and
So
put this stuff in Teams.
We actually are all on Drive, but I will do my best to give you some PDFs that are editable in the fields. And I actually got that the PDF filled out or fillable, pre-filled squares. So that's uploading this today as well. Build the in Excel. Please, your formulas broke and they are blaming Nick. Smiley face. All right. Nick is going to be the mascot of blamed formula breakage. So, so he'll get that going on, and then I will get the fillable PDF uploaded, so you guys don't have to overwork and try to figure that stuff out, because that was done yesterday. So I can supply that today.
That's for the other homework, which
the
is also due
Monday that Steve also didn't get.
and that's also due tomorrow.
That is It's not necessarily due tomorrow. I would like it done the first week
Yeah.
of your engagement. But like I said, you guys are in the beta group, so you get some grace because I get some grace because we're building this together and I'm making sure that you guys get what you need. If you're not going to be completely finished, that's fine. It's meant to help you, and it's meant to help you identify your offerings, your tiers, your pricing, and then a little bit later on, we're going to be able to revisit the messaging, the pricing, why things might not be closing the right way. Maybe we have to make some adjustments. Maybe we have to take a look at the pricing or the agreements. So it's meant to be a foundational building block. So the faster you get it done, the better. But I'm not gonna I'm not yelling at you. You guys are gonna get out of this what you're gonna get out of it. So I am not here to put pressure on. I will put a little pressure on in the forecast though, in the pipeline meetings. Once you start getting used to it, you'll start, show up prepared on those. Angela just swallowed. She's like, sales. It can be uncomfortable. It's not something that a lot of people are comfortable doing, and it is a mindset shift for sure. I'm not here to be your sales manager. I'm not here to make you feel bad about anything. I'm here to help, but it has to be done. It has to be done properly so that we can help you the best.
Alex, can you tell me the schedule, like how your schedule?
Yes, so we have Mondays at the same time. We have Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the same time. And then we have Thursday pipeline reviews. I believe it's an hour later. If you look at the initial conversation or the initial email that went out, I will also post it on the platform. We actually just opened the platform that we are getting through some of the kinks on how to actually get people inside of it. So we're testing it internally. It's basically a chat similar to Slack, but the schedule will be up there as well. So it'll be an easy access. And then we will also put that schedule on a PDF inside of the Google Drive. So you have access to that too. So you always have that. And you should have had it on your calendar invite by now as well as a recurring. So if you don't have that, I will get it added.
Yeah, that'll help.
You don't have it. Yeah, you don't have it because you weren't technically signed up, and I was just sending you the stuff because I knew you were gonna sign up. So,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
so I'll make sure that you get
Yeah,
added.
sorry about that. It was a little bit, you know what I was looking for?
You're
I signed so many
fine.
docs, and somebody else used PandaDoc too, which I thought I signed, but it was for something else. It was for our data recovery. I was like, I thought I signed it. I was like, wait,
It
I'm
wasn't
so
mine, but
confused.
that's okay. I knew you were
Yeah.
coming. So are there any questions? Again, we've got like 15 minutes. Is there anything on current sales that you all might be struggling with, or if you have any questions about anything that's live right now that you need just sort of a sanity check with the group?
I have a small question maybe. So we outsourced our marketing to
Lemonade stand.
Lemonade Stand.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to remember the name. They have us on a Google like retainer or whatever, and it kind of went up in price. I don't know if that's just if they're and they must be controlling that. But do I give them feedback? Because I know they're kind of like showing some sort of KPIs to see what's working, what's not, kind of adjusting theirs. But do I send them like a report card saying, hey, this is how much we're spending and this is how many leads we're getting? Let's not do that.
Absolutely. Okay. So, all right. I'm so glad that you said that. So if you are looking at this from a CEO, looking at what you are getting, and this is something for all three of you, you should have a separate sheet here. Hold on. I'm bringing it back up because I'm not going to bring it back up. You already know what it looks like. So the sheet itself, I want you to have a sheet for every single person that is adding sales. That is not necessarily for marketing KPI, but it does show leads. And then what you can do is if those leads are converting into opportunities, that's where you see where the value for them is. Now, I will say for leads that are coming through, that's what we call a marketing qualified lead. It is not what we would call a sales qualified lead. Do you guys understand the difference?
I'm sorry, run that by me one more time. Sales qualified, and what was the other one?
So marketing qualified lead and a sales qualified lead, there's a bit of a difference on it. So what Lemonade Stand is doing, remember I told you they were very good from a content perspective. So I adore them. What they're doing from a content perspective on converting people that are interested are not necessarily hand raisers that are saying, I'm ready to buy. What they are they are people that are hand raisers saying, I'm interested in learning more about you. That is a marketing qualified lead.
Got
So
it.
we would not necessarily, now some of them you might make a phone call on and you might turn it into a sales qualified lead real fast, depending if your SDR is calling or depending on the sales flow and the funnel. And again, we'll get to that. This is just the foundational stuff, but because you asked it, absolutely willing to kind of jump over and touch on it. From a marketing qualified lead perspective, if it's going to move over to a sales qualified lead, you have to see how it's being nurtured. You have to see how many touches it took to turn it into a sales qualified lead. And what I would do, I can't remember off the top of my head, Steve, what are you doing from the SDR perspective?
So
You don't have one right now because you got rid of the other one, right?
Yeah, so we got rid of the other one, but
Okay.
I have a couple people that I can use as well. So like so I have a couple people that can do it, or we could find one too. It's not a big deal. But I was just curious because as far as I can see, we're spending quite a bit, and it went up, it doubled like in the last month, and I didn't really see that double in value. You know what I mean? So I just don't know.
The first month of an increase, you're probably not going to see it. It's probably going to be in the next like 60 days.
Oh,
However,
okay.
I would want to see what they did and why they doubled it. And did
Yeah,
you have a
exactly.
conversation about that?
No, it just kind
Okay.
of happened. So I don't know if that is like what's going on.
Yeah.
I gotta contact them. So I was thinking, I was like, I want to set up a meeting maybe like every month or every other week just to kind of go over the details of those
It should
ends.
be tighter than monthly. You should have something a little bit more consistent. And
Okay.
then based on our engagement with what we end up doing for you, part of that will come with some of our managing on the MQLs to the SQLs anyways when we get there.
Oh,
But it should be a weekly engagement. You
okay.
meet, you get how many leads, how many conversions, what are we doing, and where's the spend? Those are
Yeah.
the metrics. That's really what you're looking at.
Okay.
Then from there, you're looking at the SDRs. The SDR or the people that are calling now, whether that's you or a friend, or we, bring Imprint or Marketopia in and we throw in an SDR, whatever that is, we keep them accountable to how many dials they made, how many connections they made, how many conversations that they had, how many people were interested. And I will give you all of this in writing at some point, and this is recorded. So Angela, you don't have to take notes if you're looking for a pen. You've got the opportunity to then map what's successful and what works for your business. You also are going to start looking at what is converting higher and what's leading to more meetings. And then you're going to choose to put more money into whatever one is better or make adjustments. So whoever's on the SDR team, if it's leading to meetings, have a sheet on that pipeline for anybody that touches a meeting, anybody that touches an opportunity, and we can adjust that a little bit.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
Anybody else have questions, comments, concerns? By the way, I was just giving you crap, Angela.
What about so I have another question maybe.
You're fine.
So I have okay, this is kind of weird. So we had a customer, they kind of signed up with a management company, right? And then they kind of have like the internal IT, and so we kind of got booted off, right? And
You got
I was
booted
like,
off or they got booted off?
we got booted off like
Okay.
as their primary IT. And I was like, that's kind of whack, everybody loves us, and like I don't know how that's gonna work internally. Their contract is for 3 years, so I mean, we could probably win it back, but I thought that was kind of shady. Not shady, but I was just like, whatever. And they're blaming that stuff wasn't done correctly. It's like, no, that was done correctly. It's like you can argue all you want, but It's anyway. So my thing is like, how do we market to those people and like to kind of keep them in the loop of things?
Yeah, so that is an entire account management meeting. And I love the fact that you and Lewis have both used the word whack 3 times in this meeting. That's probably a first for me. I thought you said whacked, wasn't it whacked?
Did I?
I thought so.
I don't, probably, I never know. I never know what I say.
Well, so the answer, I'm not going to answer the answer or the question with a full blown answer, but I am going to say we do need to get into account management, and the majority of, and I think this is actually, it's probably a really good segue for our next Monday call, because the Monday call, we can actually focus on farming and expanding where you currently are and understanding QBRs and reports and making sure that things are being reported correctly, and making sure that if you do a good job, it's being reported like, oh, look what a good boy I've been, or oh, look what a good girl I've been, so that they don't have those, oh, you did it wrong. It's more of a, this is my virtual CIO. He's the one that I look to, or she's the one that I'm getting guidance from. Who are you telling me that they're doing it wrong? And here's all the facts and data that they've supplied.
Right.
So that,
So
right. So it's a
it
different.
was more of like so the one that said they were doing it wrong was the competitor, right? They were telling me,
Of
oh,
course.
you were doing it right. Is it right? It's like, oh, okay, sure. Because we're the ones always mopping up the everything. So and we have, everything to fact check them, right? We can say, okay, we give them the reports too, so they can know what's going on. But so it was kind of shady, I felt. But
Very.
should I offer the owner or like a different service? So I know they're under management, right? But can I offer them like a CIO or VCIO service to see how they're doing, just to observe how they're doing? Because that's always good to have a second piece, second eye.
Are you concerned that you're going to be losing them as a client? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, yeah, that's what's happening. So
yeah, okay.
It hasn't officially happened yet because
but they're phasing.
But they told me, they pretty much said, oh yeah, we're gonna take over. I'm like, oh, okay. I was kind of shocked, but because everybody likes us, so like, okay, that's fine. But and for them to accuse that we're doing something wrong, I was like, okay, then tell me what I'm doing wrong. Like, it is more of just like hearsay.
Right.
But what I want to do is I want to like sell them another service, saying, hey, we can offer this service. It's minimal service, but we want to just fact check and see what they're doing, make sure they're doing it correctly.
Do you have access to what they're doing? Because you have access to their internal network.
They're not doing anything. So
right.
I don't even know how they got.
So
they had no access to the system, so I don't know how they're saying that you're doing it wrong. So I don't know.
Okay. So they're coming in just trying to. Okay. So
they're just disrupt. They're just trying to disrupt because they want to put everything under their management, which is fine. But I kind of want to take over her business.
Sure. Yeah. So
get into that.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I would come in with data, not just a report. I would come in with a presentation. And I would say, here's what we have done for you over the last year. Here is how you have exceeded. Here's how you have gotten to get to the next level in your business due to the technical help that we have provided. And here's the overall strategy. Let's have a meeting to go over what your initiatives and your priorities are, because people like talking about themselves and they like talking about what they're going for, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that conversation and now you're coming and saying, here's all the great stuff we've done. I understand that somebody is telling you that we haven't done it correctly and maybe there's another way to do it. But I think what they're trying to do is end of life what we've put in place and then make you pay again. So in an effort to save you as much money as possible, but still take into consideration what you are trying to achieve in your business, I'd like to set up a meeting and a strategy call so that I can come in as your virtual CIO or your virtual CTO and lay it out on the table. It then puts you in this place of power where you're the authority and you're saying, I see what they're doing. I'm smarter than it. here's everything we've done for you. And oh, by the way, here's a service that I can provide you long-term now that I know you're looking for strategy. And then that to me would be more powerful than just trying to sell them something else. It would be preserving the relationship. And then that's fine if you want to use these guys, but let's do it strategically. And then I can move into that CIO role so that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. You could do that. But then what I would do is proactively have conversations with your clients from here on out that gives them sort of that assurity, because just because they like you, they clearly were looking somewhere because they weren't getting a whole picture. And that's not necessarily from you.
So no. So what happened was it's a bunch of dental practices, right? So it's called a DS. They call them a DSO. It's whatever. So
it's the internal.
Yeah. So what happened was the doctors were just like, oh yeah, just hire this management team that just take care of all the whatever.
Yep.
So they signed up for 3 years with them, and it includes hiring, firing, HR, IT, the whole 9 yards. So, they did an audit or whatever. We provide the audit for them actually.
Sure.
And then it's kind of like you're giving the boot. So, which is I don't know. So if I were to present, I would have to present it to the management team, which I feel is a little bit of a battle. But I mean, because that would be because that's their preferred vendor. You know what I mean? So it's like, why because they have with their preferred vendor, on their side, they're looking at leverage, right? So they're saying, okay, if we could funnel everything to this vendor, then we're gonna get the best cost per seat or whatever, versus going through a bunch of third parties and it's easier to manage. So it would be a very, very uphill battle to kind of win that. Although it's not impossible, right? I would say plant the seed. We can try to market to them and show them all the mistakes. But I wanted to see how I can kind of market myself to something that we can kind of set in place that could kind of like keep the eyes available and keep marketing services that they're not doing, and to kind of keep things and then eventually collect information, do some recon how they do it, and then see how we can take over the other side.
Well, and so I'll leave you with this because I'm on my last minute of the office hours.
Yes.
And I think this would be a really good conversation to go more in depth, but I would say come from a position of power. Don't try to sell them something on top of it, but they already have an agreement with you. So offer to look and say, listen, you're still in a contract with me. Let me see what they're doing. Let me show you what we've done. And let's strategically go over the needs and the criteria that you have so that you can achieve your business goals. And then I think I may have some solutions where we could work together with this managed services team so that you're getting everything you need so that it's complementary. Does that sound like it would be a decent conversation?
I think, it's going to be,
I mean, that's a tough one anyway.
That's a tough one. Yeah. So
you just had to throw the tough one at me on the first call.
Yeah.
But I think it is worth having a conversation. I'd be interested to see your contract with them if you want to send it over. And I'll take a look and see if maybe there's some wiggle room and just understand the landscape a little bit more before I just jump in and give all the advice. But I think that's probably the best place to start is offer the meeting and offer the strategy session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you all got a couple of nuggets, and then I will speak to you all tomorrow for forecast and talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.